Hello and welcome to Property with Jacob. Today we're going to be looking at finding a tenant. So in the previous video we talked about refinancing and extracting the equity within the property. Finding a tenant can happen at any stage along post-renovation really. So while you're running your refinance you can also find a tenant. This works with the strategy of buy, renovate, refinance, rent. So there's two ways you can actually go about doing it. You can find a tenant yourself. If you're younger or you have more time on your hands, then I'd recommend finding them yourself. This can be quite helpful as it manages to cut your costs. I find in the north that to rent a house out through an agency it can cost £500-600 to do that. Can be a good month's rent, which isn't great on cash flow and doesn't have that fast return on investment in order to put our money back into another investment. If you're gonna use an agency, however, we'll start off with this. You want to look at their track record, so you want to get statistics like how long will it take them to find a new tenant and what sort of tenants will they find. Are they going to be good quality tenants? Are they ones that regularly pay their bills? Do they perform all the relevant checks, such as right to rent, credit checks, landlord references? Are they abiding by the law, such as GDPR? In order to do this, you can call them, have a chat with them, see what they have to say on the phone. You can also get advice from your peers. So if you have any friends that were in the property, or you or you simply message other people online or local investors in your area, see why they went with that agency and what was the main factor that drew them to the agency that they're with. Also, another added factor if you're younger, probably make a separate video on this, but I worked as a letting agent briefly. I had a summer placement at the number one letting agency in Didsbury, which is South Manchester, and that really helped me because it allowed me to understand the process and understood what was on the market, and understood what quality of houses people were letting out and what tenants would pay for that. So that really did help. And now I understand if you're more in your career and you're further on in your career, then you're not able to just take 2-3 months out like you can in university holidays like myself and just work there. But that's what I found I found that useful. It's good because you understand all the nitty-gritty parts of the paperwork, such as the application forms, such as the landlord referencing forms and the employer referencing forms, and how to do the credit check properly and how much that costs. These are parts I'm going to discuss later on in the video. I will probably make a separate video that talks about working as a letting agent and how I found that and what that was, how that benefited me. The next section I want to talk about is doing it yourself. So if you're going to find a tenant yourself, how would you go about doing that? Well, first thing is the house. Is it presentable? Is it in good condition? Does it look nice? Is it ready to be seen by the public? And if you've done a complete renovation, then the answer is yes, it should be. You should have done it up to the standard in which it's ready to be seen. The next step will be fantastic pictures. So you want to get really, really good, high quality images of your house. What you can do is when you walk into a room, you can probably Google how to take good pictures of houses, but if you take the picture, you probably go, if you think of where a windowsill is, you probably go to the level of a windowsill and point the camera up, so it kind of makes the room look quite big. Have all the lights on and go into a corner while you do that, and it makes the room look a lot bigger, with letting as much light in as possible. Then you could use something like the mobile app for Adobe Photoshop to really brighten the images and make them look ready to go on a sales platform. The next step is, so after you've got some good high quality photos, you can work on some sort of description. So to describe the property that you're letting out, is it a HMO? Is it a single family let? Is it 2 or 3 bed? Is it close to local amenities? When you're looking to buy the house in the first place, you can look at local amenities. Has it got good public transport? Is it close to good schools? If it's a single let and it's for a family, is it close to universities and close to place of work? Mainly universities and place of universities for if it's a HMO, and you rent into students or perhaps young professionals. Then you would list that within the description, just saying how close it is. For one of my houses, it's I think it's 8 minutes walk from the University of Manchester, and it is 20 minutes walk from Manchester Metropolitan University, which is really close to local universities, which is what the property is aimed at. Next point is a website. So is it just property that you can use website for many different things. So letting the property, telling people what you're about. You don't really need a website. It's not totally necessary. However, it can really help make you look more professional and give you that professional feel. It kind of gives a bit more authenticity to your persona. Now, setting your price is the thing I want to discuss after the description. Setting your price is important, and this can just be drawn from when you were looking to buy the house in the first place. You looked at rental prices nearby, how much the property could rent for in order to calculate your ROI. Once you've done that, you are able to set, after the post renovation, set what you want to rent your house for. You know, if you've not done that, it's not the end of the world, but you most likely will have done that. And it's always worth checking the market at this stage anyway, looking on Rightmove, looking on Zoopla, looking on spareroom.com if you're into the single let, and maybe even Facebook Marketplace or Gumtree, and look at the prices of similar properties that are similar properties in similar areas. So maybe look at, if you've got a 3-bed terraced house, then also look within a 0.5 mile radius at 3-bed terraced houses and see what they're renting at. See, is your price competitive to what's on the market? Is it the same? If your property is a higher quality, you might be able to charge, £50 a month extra or £100 a month extra, depending on how good it is. Is it slightly below the average in terms of its visual appearance or its amenities? Then you might have to charge slightly less. If you're in a poor financial position or a bit of a sticky financial position, you might want to let it a bit faster, so you might want to drop 25 quid off the let price. So maybe you were going to put it on for 625, but you might put it on for 600, sorry. So all these things you can consider. And then again, as I always talk about Excel, spreadsheets, put it in your spreadsheet, see if it's worth it over the course of a year. The next thing I want to mention is floor plans. Now, you can ask an agency to do this. You need some specific software to do a floor plan. When you bought the house, if there was a floor plan on the sale of the house, you can just use that. Or provided I don't think there's any copyright in there, but you check for each case will be individual. For the floor plan, you can download software to do this. I'm not using it myself. I used one that an agency provided. I just found that more useful. I do let the properties myself. However, for like documents such as floor plans, I use an agency's documents to produce that. This can kind of give more like an authentic feel to the house, so the tenants and prospective tenants know kind of what the house looks like, what's the layout of it, which is useful. Once all these things have been completed, you've looked at, if you are going to do it yourself, you've looked at the advert, potential websites, what you're going to sell it for, getting good quality photos, and also getting a good floor plan. You're ready to put it on. So again, I would use spareroom.com if it's a HMO. This is quite useful. You can also look at Rightmove as well. I wouldn't look at Rightmove because you need to be an agency to advertise it on Rightmove. So you can look at things like maybe Gumtree or Facebook Marketplace to kind of advertise it yourself. There's also online, relatively inexpensive agencies which you do all the work and then they just put it on Rightmove. You can kind of like, that's kind of like the basic package, and then you can kind of build up to them fully going doing it all. But you're able to kind of like do a lot of the work yourself if you're trying to cut your costs down. As a new person entering into property, you might not have, you're young as well, or maybe don't have that much money, then you're really going to want to restrict your costs. In part 2, we're going to be talking about the vetting process and how that works. This is just about actually getting your property on the market in the first place. Okay, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, then please like it. We've got a lot more videos in the pipeline, so if you like what you see, subscribe to us for weekly videos. I'll see you in the next one.